Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Million Dollar Speaker Podcast. Hi, I'm Arvee Robinson. I'm the Master Speaker Trainer, International Speaker, and author of Speak Up, Get Clients, and your host for this podcast today. And I just want to welcome you to the Million Dollar Speaker Podcast and to tell you that we have a super show for you today. It's all about body language in the virtual world. And I want to introduce our guests right now. Rebecca Klein-Scott and Keith Scott are our guests today. And I'm so excited. They are with TALLsmall Productions. And you're going to see why in just a moment. TALLsmall Productions leads communication training workshops virtually and around the country for clients such as Coldwell Banker, PayPal, Gray Bar, national associations, and school districts. The duo launched in 2014 and frequently make TV appearances, weighing in on the impact of communication in politics, news, and relationships. They give back by emceeing fundraising galas and leading pro bono workshops. And yes, the company name is a nod to their heights. So welcome, Rebecca and Keith.
We are thrilled to be here, Arvee.
It is wonderful to be here with you. Thank you for the opportunity.
I'm so excited, so excited. Now, do you want to stand up real quick?
Oh, absolutely.
I probably should have taken off my stilettos.
There we go.
I'm only kidding.
That is why they're called the TALLsmall Productions. I love it. All righty. So welcome to the Million Dollar Speaker Podcast. And I know both of you are million dollar speakers, million dollar workshop leaders. So tell our listeners a little bit about what you think makes a million dollar speaker.
What makes a million dollar speaker is to go back to a time before you had any dollars. The best speakers communicate as they would to children using storytelling, simple, powerful language. Less is always more.
What Rebecca's saying is shorter is always sweeter.
Exactly.
But here's the deal. People need to become authentic when they're speakers. They have to connect and they have to bring their emotion and have the audience feel it. Similar to a band that connects with their audience, people leave that concert and say, I can never go back and feel that experience again. The same thing between the speaker and the audience.
Because the best public speakers are not alone on stage. It's a dance. And you have to constantly feed off your audience's reaction, because you could go out there and say, I gave the most amazing speech, but that doesn't matter. It's how the audience takes it.
Absolutely. And before we continue, Keith, I want to say you have $1 million speaker voice. Awesome. I love it.
I try. Rebecca has been my coach for years to help me fine tune the voice.
I can't get anywhere as deep as you.
I also smoke 4 packs of cigarettes a day. So that helps out.
I love that. I know that you're just joking about that.
Yes, I am.
But I love the emotional connection. You're absolutely right. And you have to, and the storytelling, which creates that emotional connection. And also, and this is so important, and I want you to comment about this, but it's so important to build trust and rapport in the beginning with your audience. And so many people forget that. They come out like fire hoses and they think that they should give a bunch of information and education. So talk a little bit about how would we begin? How do we make that connection, and build that trust and rapport?
You are exactly right. It's something we talk about every single day with our clients, because a lot of times, especially in this Zoom world, people get on and they go straight down to business, but there's no connection and the wires are not connecting. First, you need to connect as people, not on the topic that you're there to sell about or talk about. You need to have that authentic connection. Have some icebreakers. Talk about your kids, your pets, your husband, your wife, anything. And then you can move into the topic.
And add humor to what you're doing. For example, why do celebrities always stay cool? Because they have many fans.
Ah!
Right? But you can have the worst dad jokes, and we have tons of them, but we throw them out. Have some humor. You know, the world needs to laugh, and when you laugh, you drop your barriers and you start to learn.
Absolutely right. And I like to make the humor with stories and storytelling, right? And if you don't have, you know, a story, we all have stories, our own stories. But if you don't, you could go to the internet and get some joke books and, you know, just do a little humor. So I love that. I love that. So let's get right into talking about body language, especially in the virtual world, because body language helps make that emotional connection and build that rapport as well. And a lot of people forget that because they're only half of a person now. Right. And I know that if people could see you, they would see that, you know, we see almost your whole body. So let's talk about that. Let's just peel it back because it's so important.
Well, body language is 70% of communication. Yet exactly as you said, we show up on video calls only showing the tiniest portion of ourselves. A lot of people look like they're more in an FBI mugshot than there to have a friendly conversation. And then they wonder, why didn't we connect?
Right.
Body language, when we see somebody walk down the street, when we used to go to restaurants and see a couple having a conversation, we all make judgments. Body language keeps us secure because from the beginning of time, we used the judgment of body language to figure out, are we safe? Was someone going to hit us over the head? Basic things. Body language, we feel things that we don't even understand why we feel them, but we can tell by the body language, whether it's a threat, whether there's a connection, if the person's positive, negative. It's how we keep ourselves situated in our day-to-day lives.
And we have to tune into that on these calls. If we were in person, we would have given you a hug or shaken your hand, and that releases the human bonding hormone of oxytocin. And because we can't do that in the virtual world, your smile is what does it. Taking the time to show you're connected, having open palms shows that you're embracing the other person versus pointing your finger, showing that you know everything there is to know.
Right. So one of the things we want to do in this virtual world is make sure we have open palms, smile a lot. Now, what do you think? I mean, some people think, the virtual world, they think that they can do anything they want. In other words, I was on a call the other day and somebody was actually laying down, and not somebody that had to lay down. I did meet someone who couldn't go to events because they had a spinal injury and they had to lay down. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about someone who's just coming to an event, a networking event, listening to a speaker, and they're like laying down or they're in their bathroom. I mean, what is that saying about them?
Agree. It's saying you don't care at all. We have people ask us all the time, do I need to take a shower before I come to a workshop?
Yes.
Well, once you have come into a room with us without taking a shower, come as you would at an in-person event. It's no different.
These people many times are late to the game because when they would go to the office, it was a break. They knew when I go to the office, I shower, I don't lay down, I sit in the chair. I'm at home, well, I lay down. They haven't put the two together yet, that you're at home, but you're still working. And that's where the confusion is. People have forgotten that we're still working. We're not off on vacation. And we have to bring it back to a sense of understanding what are they doing at the moment and how is it being perceived?
Amen. And what do you think about people that come to a meeting with their video off?
Completely wrong. We tell people, we'll be blunt, we have to turn the camera on. Why didn't we have a phone call? What was the point of having a video call?
We will call them out on it right away. And we never agree with when we have had clients who've said, well, a few people don't want to have their video on. Back in the day, you could never say a few people want to wear a paper bag over their head because they don't want to be seen in this conference room.
That's just what I was going to say. It's like coming to a meeting.
Oh my goodness.
Look at that.
With a bag over your head.
I love that.
We are in complete sync. I had no idea what you were grabbing.
That is awesome. That is amazing how you guys pulled all that together.
Yeah. So that's what I tell people, and I'll put it on. I'll put a bag over my head and show them. And of course, it has a sad face because we can't connect. Here, it's hard enough to connect in the virtual world, like you said, and you gave us some really great tips. And we want more, but open palm, big smile. But
Mhm.
what about your background? How important is that?
It's extremely important. We noticed this early on. Everybody was jumping on these virtual backgrounds. I mean, if you didn't get on a call with the Bay Bridge, not the Bay Bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge behind you, I mean, I think everybody either had that or a beach scene. But they
Right.
did studies and found that people think that's fake. And it is fake, obviously. But here's the deal. Seeing someone's home, for example, we can see what's behind you. We can see the books. It gives you a point of conversation. We can ask you questions. And getting in someone's home, and you're a perfect model for that too. But getting into someone's home, you can start to get to know the person. What a great opportunity to dig deeper into people's personalities.
The background you select is an extension of your body language. And
Yeah.
the reason why we're in our kitchen is because where do people go whenever you had people over pre-COVID? Everybody ends up in the kitchen. Doesn't matter whether the appetizers are in the living room. Everyone gravitates to the kitchen. It's where people will tell the stories, share the most, and that's why we set up here.
And I loved your kitchen the first time I saw it. It is homey, it's beautiful, it's artistic, there's beautiful colors. Now, and there's food.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I see there's food. Is that-
I'm happy.
And the fruit is real. We've had people ask us, is that fake? It's real fruit. We do eat it all.
It's been there for 9 months.
Yeah, it looks
It's
great.
fermenting.
It looks great. All right, so the background, again, it's an extension of you, it's an extension of your body language. And I always tell people my feeling is if we can't see your real background, like we know when it's virtual because your hair and everything, I always think, what are you hiding? What are you hiding? And guess what? I don't want to do business with you if you're hiding something, because you might be a slob and I don't want to do, unorganized slob. And maybe I don't want to work with someone like that because that's how you're going to act or treat me. Right. So
Absolutely.
let's talk. So what do you think about that?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think it's similar. You get in someone's car and they're trying to sell you real estate and they got stuff all over the floor and junk. You're thinking, how organized are you? It's the same in the home. I mean, how hard is it to find one wall? I mean, just one wall in your house and
Even
set up a
standing in
camera.
a shower.
I mean, this is
Tiles
not
in the
difficult.
shower look fine.
Tile in the shower?
Oh, yeah.
We've had lots of people say to us, I can't get on video. I have roommates. I have nowhere to go. Well, go into your bathroom. The shower tile wall is a blank wall. You'll pop out against it. And here's another little hack we learned. Bathrooms are great for sound.
Got it.
The fact is you can find anything and you can cheaply make a background if you have to.
Right.
There's no excuse to have all kinds of junk and stuff behind you. You wouldn't have that walking around or walking into a meeting. And on virtual, it's the same thing. You imagine walking into a board meeting with all that junk behind you? Are you doing, that's what you're doing on video if
Right.
you do that.
I so agree. So tell us more about how, because we're going to be in this environment for a while. It has been estimated, especially for events over 100. And I know you've done events that size. I've done events that size, 2023 or later. So we're going to be here for a while. So what are some tips on how we can really use, and maybe people don't have a setup like you where they can show more of their body, but I do want to know more about that. But if we are stuck from the waist up, what are some easy things people can do, especially those $1 million speakers that want to connect to their audience?
The number one thing is find a place in your home that's going to be your set. It might have looked funny pre-COVID to always have a stool in one place with a light or a tripod. You can invest under $100 and create a set that you can go to, because $1 million speaker doesn't say no when suddenly a local TV station says, hey, can you comment on the morning news tomorrow? That's not the time to go scramble to find a place to be. You want to have your set ready.
Buy a ring light, use a phone or a computer. We suggest a phone in the ring light and put it above you. We always look more flattering when the camera's shooting down. It doesn't look great when we're looking down and you can see everything. And it looks like you're looking down at people. You don't want to look down at people all day long.
And nobody wants more chins than they have.
No, you don't want to have You don't want to have a face within a face.
There you go.
No, and a lot of people put the camera lower, and all it does is it adds luggage under the eyes, gives you more chins than you already have. Not a good look.
Samsonites under the eyes.
Exactly. Maybe to me.
Maybe only women. Maybe that only happens to women.
But lighting is key.
Mhm.
Have the camera. If you don't have a ring light right now and you're thinking, what do I do? What do I do? Put your phone in the windowsill. Sit in a chair,
Good.
look down. Use the light from the sun. It'll be on your face. It's perfect.
The only side effect is your neighbors might think you're stalking them, because our set does look right into our neighbor's dining room. And they've yet to ask us why we sit here all day.
I think they're scared of us.
Exactly.
Very, very cool. Okay, so if someone, background is important, but if someone is, they can't, get a setup or, because they need a lapel and everything. If they were just going to be here in front of their computer, I'll say one tip. Get a stand-up desk,
There
right?
you go.
Yes.
Get a
There you
stand-up
go.
desk. It's just a couple $100 from Amazon. You put it on top of your desk and you can raise it. And that's what I do every time I speak, because you want to open your diaphragm and be able to speak just like you would. Do not sit down, especially if you're speaking. And if I'm in an important meeting, I'll also stand up and not sit down, because when you sit down, what do? You hunch, right? You hunch your shoulders over.
And your instrument, your voice gets crumpled up. A lot of times when we're leading a workshop, Keith and I will start out standing and do something very physical to get everybody up out of their chairs and standing too. Then they've engaged with us.
Rebecca's standing
And then
right
we'll
now. Are you not?
But due to our height differences, we wish we could stand always. But we found that on a lot of platforms, Keith's head gets decapitated if we
I
both
lose
try to
my
stand.
head. It's
Yeah.
one of the dangers of doing a business with two different height levels.
Keith, so Keith, how tall are you?
Well, I thought you would never ask. I
Yay!
am 6'9".
Wow, is that taller than Tony Robbins?
I'm absolutely.
Go ahead and say yes.
Oh yeah.
Who knows?
Tony
Wow.
learned from me. I mean, come on now. But yes, it is a little taller than the clearance bars and parking garages too.
Wow.
And taller than a lot of our doorways.
Exactly.
Wow. Now, Rebecca, how tall are you?
I am 5'2", and I had to grow down into my maiden name Klein, which means small in German. Everybody thought I'd be tall when I was a kid because I have long legs, but no.
Really, that's an amazing story. All right, so our time is up for today, but it's been such a pleasure to have you. Now, if someone wants to get a hold of you and know more about you and what you do and body language, how would they do that?
Yell really loud. Only
Yell, yeah.
Go to TALLsmallProductions.org.
.org. That's easy to spell. Tall and small, right?
Exactly.
We
All
kept
right.
it that way purposely.
TALLsmallProductions.org. Awesome. All right. So do you have any last words you would like to leave our listeners before we end today?
Never worry about what others are thinking about when you're out there speaking, because you might think they're judging you. They're probably really glad that they're not the ones up on stage.
Ooh,
Stay
nice.
authentic, stay real. Do not change your personality, because there's a reason that you have that personality and it has to come forth.
I so agree. Great. All right. It's such a pleasure having both of you here, Rebecca and Keith. Thank you so much again for being on our
Thank
show
you.
today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Well, that's the show today. We will see you back here next week.